The New York Knicks seem to be the center of attention when it comes to trade rumors. And we don't know what this team is this year. They're right now, if the season were to end, they're a 9th seed. They're in the round robin of craziness, but does that say enough? It doesn't tell you much about what this team is. They're ranked, I think, 19th or 20th defensively in the league when they were ranked in the top 5 last year, so they've taken a step back defensively. Offensively, they thought Kemba Walker was going to change this team. The last 4 games, he's played better. I love what Julius Randle says, that the face and really the voice of reason as a leader in the locker room is Kemba Walker. I think he is. But is he the answer to this team? Is he going to help this team moving forward become a championship competitive team? I don't know. I don't think that he is. I think, to me, he's trade bait. But what this team is something that I can't explain anymore. Julius Randle's been a complete bust. $116 million. He's had more air balls in certain games than he has with swishes, okay? Overpaying a third option player, maybe a second option player, it doesn't really bode well for the New York Knicks because we've seen this before. I love Amari Stoudemire. He was great his first year, had bad knee problems, and to me, he fell all the way to a third option for the Knicks. And he got a lot of money from the New York Knicks because nobody wanted to play here. So, to me, Julius Randle, yes, it's great that he took less money to play here in New York. Yes, it's great that he wants to be here and he wants to be the voice of reason for the New York Knicks and the fans. But this guy is a low-grade Carmelo Anthony. He is not Carmelo Anthony. I don't know what you want to compare him to. You want to compare him to an older Amari Stoudemire because he's still young? I mean, Amari Stoudemire, I think, was still a better player than Julius Randle was in his first year. Now, obviously, after that, Amari Stoudemire really fell off. His knees didn't hold up. A lot of people thought that was going to happen, and that's what drove Carmelo Anthony to want to come over here and play with him. But Julius Randle has been horrible this year in his 3rd full year with the Knicks, but second supposedly big year for the Knicks. He has not been an all-star this year, Speedy. He has not.
Well, I think we were expecting him to regress from last year. I don't think we were expecting all the offensive juggernaut numbers he put up last year, where he was probably a top 20 overall player in the NBA. But still, he fell to a point where he's become really inefficient, shooting 42% overall, shooting way worse from the free throw line, holding the ball or forcing the ball in certain moments where he shouldn't be. And that's been a big problem for the Knicks' efficiency on offense. The Knicks, statistically, last year weren't a great overall offense, but they still were shooting efficiently where they were wasting possessions. And in the beginning of the season, it seemed like he wasn't doing that either. He was getting a lot of assists. He was getting a lot of offensive rebounds. He was extending plays, extending possessions. And now it doesn't seem like he's doing that anymore. And maybe that's because of other offensive woes, too. RJ Barrett had a great start to the season. Now
he looks horrible, too.
Yeah. He hasn't been the same offensively.
He's been horrible.
Obviously, we mentioned Kemba Walker hasn't been the same offensively as what he was in the past. And even a lot of their inside game as well hasn't really been there. Outside of Emmanuel Quigley and Alec Burks and Derrick Rose, those are really the only 3 guys that have looked good for the majority of the season, I would say, on offense. And that's a big problem for the Knicks in terms of progressing. And again, it's affected their defense too, because their defense is now getting tired, not possessing the ball. They're shooting too early in the shot clock, so it's tiring out their defense. And when you lose those kinds of possessions, when you turn the ball over a lot, your defensive statistics are going to look worse, even if the scheme still looks good.
Absolutely. And you were just talking about RJ Barrett. I thought RJ Barrett has really taken to that next level as a defensive player. He's fallen off offensively.
Right.
Career 36% field goal percentage at the three-point line. This year, he's 33. He's taking a step back. His field goal percentage, career 42. He's fallen to 39 this year. He has not been where we thought he was going to be. Usually, third year as an NBA player, we see the development. We see how good this kid could be. I expected him to average 21 points a game this year. I know it's only 28 games in a season. He will have to actually average in the next 6 games 30 to 40 points a game to even get it up to 20 points. So he has not been good. He hasn't been as good as we thought he was going to be. So that is scary to me as an RJ Barrett fan if he really is the answer, and maybe he is trade bait for the Knicks at the trade deadline. As far as the Brooklyn Nets are concerned, Kyrie Irving coming back, that's great news for the Nets. I think they're the favorites now to win the championship. If he gets his COVID vaccine, his vaccination, and he can play home games, and he can play every single game, I think he's going to be very, very scary with a Kevin Durant that's on a whole nother level this year. Do you know that he averages just as many assists than now Steph Curry? So he is averaging 5.9 assists a game, and so is Steph Curry. He's averaging 2 more points than Steph Curry is, and he's averaging 4 or 5 more rebounds than Steph Curry is. And Steph Curry right now is everybody's predominant MVP candidate, which I think is ridiculous. Right now, the MVP is Kevin Durant. It's not even an argument. And for people to think that he isn't, it's a catastrophe. It's crazy. But it's so interesting when we talk about who it is and who do we compare and contrast to be the best player in the NBA this year. And it's not about points. It's not about points. It's about all-around games. What's so interesting about this, what Kevin Durant said, he says, yo, it's ridiculous. They're clowning us in Barclay for the amount of Steph Curry fans that are in there. Durant said on the latest episode of the ETCS with Kevin Durant, I'm like, yo, do you not see him in this arena, every arena? So what Kevin Durant is saying, that he believes that he's the MVP. He knows that Steph Curry is loved by every single fan. It doesn't matter where you go. Everybody wants to be Steph Curry because he ruined the game of basketball. He really did. If you're not averaging 30 or 35 three-pointers a game, you're not winning an NBA game. Most good teams are averaging between 28 and 35 three-pointers a game. So I think he's ruined the game. But for anybody to think that Steph Curry is better than Kevin Durant is crazy. It's a crazy argument. To me, the predominant MVP of the NBA, Speedy, Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant is averaging 2 more points a game overall than Steph Curry is, and now is only a tenth of an assist behind. So, yes, the numbers are definitely better for him now.
If you want to pick the numbers, go look at his team and where his team is.
Steph Curry is only a percentage point above in threes, and obviously he's a better free throw shooter because he's been the best free throw shooter for a while. But, again, that's only 5%. It's not like Kevin Durant's shooting 70%. He's shooting 88%, so it's still very, very good. And he does more defensively. He does more in terms of versatility. He can play the 3, can play the 4. This was a stretch of 2 where no Kyrie Irving. James Harden was awful for 2 months at the beginning of the season. Now he's playing better finally, but still, this is also a better Eastern Conference as well. So it's not like you're playing in the top-heavy East of the past where you had 3 good teams and everyone else was below 500 or at 500. This has been a better all-around East with Miami, Milwaukee, Chicago, teams like that. Even the Cavaliers, who we just talked with Matt about, playing very well this season. So I agree with you on Durant being the MVP. In terms of the fans, for one thing, Nets fans, they're still kind of, we don't
they're
know
Knicks fans.
But yeah, some of them are still Knicks fans. They're still the same fan base that had to have James Harden sell their playoff tickets outside the stadium because they couldn't sell out Barclays Center. So yeah, Nets fans, yeah, okay, I can see where that's coming from. But also, Kevin Durant is also continuing to assert his kind of villain role. All the NBA fans across the country hated him for going to Golden State initially, and then there was the Twitter accounts thing with all the 5 burner accounts and all that. So he's still kind of taking on that role of villain where I don't know if really Steph Curry has done that kind of thing. So
no, he's beloved no matter what he does.
Yeah, so I can see why
he could throw his mouthpiece at women or men out in the audience and it wouldn't matter to him. Oh, it's Steph Curry. Who cares?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure if any kid picks that up, he might want an autograph for all we know. But still,
Maybe
I
should
think
sign
Kevin Durant is kind of rebirthing that villain role again just because of now this MVP feud with his former teammate too, so it elevates it further. It's not like you're elevating a rivalry with, say, Luka Doncic, who he has really no grudges with. It's Steph Curry, who was his former teammate, and we had the podcast clip a couple of weeks ago about all the stuff that went on with Golden State and his, I guess, ugly exit from there with Draymond Green and Steph Curry and all that stuff. So you definitely could sell that there's a grudge, and now he's trying to get that role of a villain again. And
stop it with the fans not giving this guy credit. I am not a Kevin Durant fan. I am a Knicks fan. I don't want to see Kevin Durant win an MVP. I don't want to see Durant and Brooklyn win a championship the Knicks haven't won in 40-something years since the 70s. I don't want to see it. But you want to know something? To take away from what this guy is doing right now, and yes, they're right now tied in first place with the Chicago Bulls, which, by the way, are playing unbelievable. Zach LaVine and DeRozan are the best tandems right now in the league. Who would have thought that? But the Brooklyn Nets, with all the injuries they had in the COVID situation, Kevin Durant has been the predominant number 1 guy all season long.
And now he's going to play with that chip on his shoulder. All these statements, all these responses now with the fans, these Brooklyn Nets fans, are going to definitely fire him up some more.
Who wouldn't? Your own freaking fans don't want you to win.
The only question remains with him, one, his own injury status, because
how could you sit here as a player for your team and you're hearing Steph Curry chants in your own stadium when you're playing Steph Curry? Would you be happy? No. MVP for Steph Curry? You're trying to win a championship in Brooklyn and your fans are rooting for Steph Curry? Give me a break.
Proves everything you need to know about Nets fans, for one, but also proves that there could be quite some storylines brewing if, say, there is a Warriors-Nets finals, which would be torture for a lot of NBA fans, but would be fun for a lot of others.
Absolutely.